This encounter was and still is significantly creepier and more terrifying than anything else I've ever experienced so far in my life. It still haunts my thoughts anytime I go back to the place where this occurred, and leaves me feeling afraid and skeptical of any stranger I meet. To give you some information about the incident, it was on this past Earth Day. My best friend Des and I decided it would be fun and cliche to go to a local state park in our area, which we often go to, and hike, smoke some weed, go to our favorite trails, etc. This was something we do fairly often. I've always felt safe there, and nothing has ever happened to make me feel concerned for my safety, until freaking Earth Day. Des and I are driving around the park, which is fairly large, and there are countless numbers of trails to choose from, all with varying degrees of privacy. Some are busy, while some are practically secluded. Because Des and I were planning to smoke some of that sweet green, clearly we would want to pick a more secluded route that day. So we decide on one of our favorite trails, one we call Nature's Eyeball, and we drive over to it and park. Once we get there, we notice there's no other cars, which is great. Everything is wonderful today. We grab all of our stuff from the car and head off to the trail and begin our journey. The way this trail is set up is that there is a longer, wider main trail, and then at some points the trail branches off into some smaller marked paths. Our favorite part of the trail is the part of it that looks like Nature's Eyeball. The way a river winds around a curve with an island in the middle looks like a giant eye, hence the name. So we take a smaller side path to get to it. At this point, we haven't seen anyone else on the path. We reason that it's a good time to smoke, and so we sit down and prepare the weed. Where we're located on the path, we can still see the main trail, so we look out and see if anyone is coming. For a good 10 minutes, everything is dandy, until I'm hitting the pipe and Des says that she sees a man getting close to us on the main trail. We quickly put everything away and walk further down the side path to avoid an awkward encounter with whoever this person was. After waiting a few minutes, we decide that it's safe to walk back down the main trail, as there's no sign this man walked down the side path we're on. And we actually decide that it would be a good idea to walk further down the main trail, something we hadn't done before. But it's Earth Day. Appreciate the sights, take in nature, right? Once we get back to the main trail, we start to walk further back into the woods. Des didn't say anything to me about this at the time, but apparently there was a man sitting by some rocks, where the main trail split off to the side trail. I didn't notice him, but it's very likely it was the guy we spotted earlier. Either way, we're walking down the trail, and I become conscious of the sound of footsteps a far distance behind us. I looked back to see an older man walking the trail as well, and I didn't think anything of it because it's not uncommon to meet other people far back in the system, no matter how secluded the trail is. We continue walking, and I'm now aware of the fact that he's speeding up and getting closer to us, while Des and I are walking at a constant pace. Still, I'm not too concerned, and off to the right of us, there's a clearing that's grade A picture material. So Des asked me to take a picture of her with a tree for Snapchat. I agree, and as I'm trying to get the perfect angle, the stranger walking behind us is now behind me, and he asked if I'd like for him to take a picture of the both of us instead. I'm a very shy person, so even though at this moment I'm slightly weirded out, I kindly take his offer and thank him. Keep in mind that I'm not a judgmental asshole, and don't usually base judgments of people off of the way they look. But this was one creepy guy. I'd say he was in his late 40s, overweight, had on a trucker hat, freaking Jeffrey Dahmer glasses, creepy porn mustache, also had on a plain white t-shirt tucked into denim dad shorts, and to wrap up the package, he had on New Balances with ankle socks. So Stranger Man takes the picture. We walk back over to him, look at the photo, and thank him again for doing it. Instead of walking away like we expected him to, he stands there with us for a solid minute or so while she posts the photo and checks her messages. Now we resume our trail walk, and this guy starts to walk directly beside us. And when I say directly, I mean he was right next to me, and if I stepped to the right, I would bump into him. And I'm one who really doesn't like their personal space interfered with. Right off the bat, the guy says, "You girls are two pretty ladies." And instantly, my "something's not right here" switch flips on. I accept the compliment and politely give a thank you back, but I don't initiate any conversation. I only reply if he asks something that requires an answer. He begins to ask us questions about our lives, how old we are, where we go to school, etc. Both of us lie and say we're older than we actually are, that we go to college that's close by. Then he starts to ask more personal questions, and he asks if either of us have boyfriends. I have a boyfriend, but she and I both lie and say we're actually together, and have been for a really long time, hoping that this puts him off. It actually causes the reverse. He loves this about us. In fact, he loves the gay community, and has a boyfriend of his own. At the moment, I'm not deathly afraid, but I am quite uncomfortable, and text Des saying to make up a lie that we're heading back to go get pizza, hopefully to lose this guy. So we start to talk about this imaginary plan, and begin to turn around and say our goodbyes, once again thinking this man will continue walking the trail by himself, when he turns back and starts to walk with us. And this time he's walking by my side even closer than before. From this point on, every conversation topic that he brings up is sexual in nature, or he finds a way to make a sexual comment about almost anything. Everything about the situation generally skeeves me out and makes me want to throw up. At one point, he comments on how there's nobody out here today, and how the park is so secluded that you wouldn't believe what you could get away with out here. Every single thing coming out of his mouth is a red flag, and I want to crawl out of my skin, or for some jogger to pass us by on the trail, but we're still very far back in the woods, and there's nobody around. And I think about how I could probably scream, and nobody would be close enough to hear it, or come to help. The final straw was when we got on the conversation topic of Craigslist. How fitting. He mentioned how he always saw ads in the personals about people asking to meet other people in the park that we were in for sex or sexual favors. He even said that he actually happened upon people fucking out in the woods, saying how sometimes it would be a man and a woman, a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. I'm terrified out of my goddamn mind right now. But if this man had intentions of doing something bad to one or both of us, I was trying to remain confident and put off a vibe that I wasn't as scared as I was. So I try to make conversation and ask him what he does in that situation. If he walks past, says something, reports it, etc. And get this. This is the part that made me question my safety the most. I knew something was going to happen without a doubt. He says, "Oh, I just watch." Yeah, just watch. Trust me, it's better to just watch. He repeated it 3 times. Holy crap, I knew that I was going to die at the hands of this creepy bastard. Now I know that I need to think fast and do whatever I can to make us appear not as vulnerable and to get us out of this situation. I text Des and tell her to have someone call her and to have them stay on the phone with her until we're safely back in her car. I also managed to slip my hand in my bag inconspicuously and grab my pocket knife, open it in the bag, and pull it out and have it in my hand on the side farthest from him, where he couldn't see it. I was shaking so hard that I couldn't hold it steady. Des apparently texts both her mom and her dad, and tells them what's going on, tries to get in touch with her mom to no avail, but her dad calls her, and I believe we're saved. They're talking for a very long time. She manages to work into conversation the exact name of the road we're on, and that we're walking on a trail and headed home. Everything is going smoothly until Dez's dad fucks us over completely. Dez's phone is broken, so she can only talk on speakerphone. Creepy stranger man can hear every word of this conversation. In the middle of talking, Dez's dad says, "So, is that man still following you on the trail?" Fuck. Des hangs up immediately. Stupid move maybe, but she did. I ask if she lost connection, trying to play it off, and she says yeah. The service is really spotty in the park. Then dude says, "Did you tell your dad I was following you?" We're not back to the car yet, and by no means are we safe. We make up a bullshit excuse of telling her dad about a guy we saw earlier on the trail. Half-assed, but he buys it, and we're okay for the moment. I also mention how there's all kinds of people out here, and that I always carry my knife and my taser with me for protection. You never know what could happen. Overall, we put up a pretty good front of not being innocent. Easy targets, and somehow we make it back to the trailhead, where the cars are. Once we make it, we say our calm goodbyes and walk quickly to the car. I can't describe how good it felt to get back in, lock the doors, and just scream. But I can't even begin to describe the terror of that situation. I never reported it or even told my parents. My friends and my boyfriend are all aware of what happened, however. Terrifying potential murderer / sexual assaulter man. Let's not meet ever again, please.